Hello to all my fellow students. My name is Daniel Stark. I'm a senior at Texas Tech University, and I'll be graduating with many of you in just a couple of weeks. I'm excited about that. Today, I'll be delivering my senior thesis oral presentation. The Texas Tech Military and Veterans Programs was created in 2010 as a department solely dedicated to helping veterans and their families succeed, specifically by assisting veterans in obtaining veteran educational benefits, the transition to campus, and connecting them to resources both on campus and in the community. There have been many successes in integrating veterans with campuses across the nation. Texas Tech University is well established and has a large impact on the success of many veterans. According to the Texas Tech MVP website, there are more than 2,000 students attending Texas Tech University who are veterans or are family members of veterans, to include more than 250 faculty and staff who have also served. For 7 years, the MVP program has polished, adjusted, and incorporated the different changes and program modifications to assist and have a proactive part in the success of its veterans. One aspect that has been increasingly popular is the distance learner. With the expansion of its regional sites throughout Texas and beyond, online, off-campus, and distance education has become an increasingly vital component of higher education, and the institutions of the Texas Tech University system continue to lead the way in offering programs and degree plans to students across the state, the nation, and the world. You don't have to live in Lubbock to pursue a degree from Texas Tech University. They have 6 regional teaching sites extending across the state of Texas, one of which I attend, Highland Lakes campus, making a Texas Tech education available in Central Texas. They offer programs for a variety of careers without the veteran leaving their home community. There are several factors and viewpoints that concern the distance learner, which overlap and depend on each other, like legislation, interpretation, policies, choice, and campus staff, which makes it extremely complex, too complex of a problem to be adequately understood or solved using a single perspective or discipline. The same is true for wicked and complex problems. Wicked problems are primary social problems with no permanent solution. Because these problems are primary social in nature, the nature of the problem changes over time. As culture shifts, society too is modified. Solutions to a wicked problem today may not be the same solution in 10 years. The MVP program certainly looks different today than it did 7 years ago. Having a purposeful approach in blending different perspectives or to look through the lens of different disciplines allows the interdisciplinarian to gain additional insights and achieve a more holistic understanding or possible solution, including the ability to distinguish or confirm complex and wicked problems. The MVP distance learner problem stretches across legal, ethical, social, and economic boundaries, which in turn demand an interdisciplinary approach to blend those different perspectives together. As we step through the interdisciplinary research process, IRP, a new understanding begins to develop and a new picture begins to reveal itself as we look at our wicked problem through the lens of multiple disciplines or perspectives. Each discipline has their own unique perspective on how they view the world, what the world looks like through their lens. Historians believe that any historical period cannot be adequately appreciated without understanding the trends and developments leading up to it. They are concerned with people, events, and movements of human civilizations, past and present. Sociology is concerned with understanding the world around us and how it is changing. Many dimensions of the world around you cannot be explained simply in terms of individual behavior or personal choices. At the very least, you need to gather information, data about what people do, how they think, and how they feel about it, and how their relations with each other are shaped in order to come up with an informed understanding of any problem or issue. The social and historical accounts in this literature research give valuable insight on how the MVP program is conducted today. MVP plays a significant and directional role for distance learning veterans, specifically how veterans are managed through strategy, legislative policy, organizational culture, and student concerns. Research methods of quantitative and qualitative are both used in this paper to achieve a new and more holistic understanding of the wicked problem. Cosby 2009 lays out a historical timeline of educational benefits for veterans, discusses past and current legislation, and best practices for veterans and the veteran campus offices. Additionally, it correlates the attitude and mainstream norm of the past with the current enhancements made or added to the veterans' educational benefits. The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs published a school certifying official handbook that is required for guidance and compliance. Responsibilities are explained, and the comparison of the different educational programs are provided, including detailed explanation of eligibility, benefits, entitlements, jurisdictions, disputes, and time restrictions. Overall, a very useful tool that's designed as a one-stop shop for the entire process, with hyperlinks for forms, documents, and contacts for easy access. The TTU MVP website is designed to help the veteran obtaining educational benefits and assist in transition to campus by connecting the veteran with resources both on campus and in the community. It gleans much of the information provided in the VA handbook, 135 pages, and condenses it down to what the veteran should or needs to know. Provides the forms, checklist, and a specific step-by-step guidance for the veteran in applying for benefits, usually the first exposure the veteran has to the Military Veterans Program. All accredited institutions in the state of Texas must get approval through the Texas Veterans Commission, Texas Veterans Commission, to train veterans. Once approved, a facility code is issued so the veteran gets paid the cost of living for attending college at that location or facility. Interviews and email correspondence were conducted with Texas Tech MVP staff, the Texas Veterans Commission, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Barnes & Noble, or the Texas Tech Library, and distance learning veterans from 4 of the TTU regional or satellite campuses. Insights and scholarly contributions provide theories and concepts which inevitably conflict. Just like the theories and concepts from the disciplines, not all contributing views will arrive with the same theory, concept, or assumption. These sources of conflict can sometimes be difficult due to overlapping of the discipline's defining elements. A qualitative and quantitative method was used to synthesize these views and conflicts. The quantitative approach emphasizes that evidence can be expressed numerically over a specified time frame. The qualitative approach focuses on evidence that cannot be easily quantified, such as cultural mannerisms and personal impressions of a musical composition, Rep Code 2012. Using these methods in the IRP process led me to the discovery of additional understandings of the wicked problem of TTU MVP and the distance learner. Distance learning is still a relatively new concept for MVP, as demonstrated by Cosby 2009 Best Practices Manual. It is not mentioned or incorporated. The support system's weak points and concerns have had time to be reviewed, corrected, and polished for the traditional or main campus veteran over the past 7 years. Research reveals the distance learner faces additional challenges financially and academically from the traditional main campus veterans. Research clearly identified new conflicts and show that a disparity between perceptions of current legislation, stakeholders, and the distance learning veteran. Most significant is the distance learner's financial loss by attending a Texas Tech regional site campus. The majority of the veterans, over 80%, use Chapter 33 post 9/11 GI Bill and Chapter 31 vocational rehabilitation and employment, which receive an entitlement of a monthly housing allowance stipend. The intent is to pay the veteran an allowance for the cost of living where the veteran attends the training. The VA uses the facility code authorized by the SAA, or Texas Veterans Commission, previously mentioned, to pay the housing allowance. However, the facility codes for Texas Tech regional sites have not been applied for or approved. Texas Tech is authorized to train the veteran, but the facility code used is for the main campus, meaning the distance learner veteran gets paid the cost of living of the Lubbock main campus, not where the training facility is located at the TTU regional sites. The cost of living in Lubbock is less than all of its regional sites, as you can see from the slide. This results in many veterans losing hundreds of dollars per month and well over $1,000 in a semester. Some of the veterans interviewed stated the monetary losses had a significant negative impact on them and their families. The breakdown on the slide that you're looking at, if you look at TTU Collin, which is basically Dallas, the entitlement is $1,842 because its cost of living is more there than in Lubbock. However, they only get paid the Lubbock main campus amount, which is $1,047, which reflects that $795 a month is what the veteran loses for attending that regional site. Distance learners from the regional sites conveyed frustration, distrust, and feelings of being penalized for attending Texas Tech. State's MVP knew of the financial loss for distance learners, and that information was not disclosed. Felt it was unethical not to disclose that information up front. Significant to note that 100% of the veterans contacted from regional campuses were not aware of the monetary loss they would incur until after they were enrolled in attending classes. Usually find out 1 to 2 months after this first semester started, when the distance learners first paid by the VA and their amount is hundreds of dollars short. That's when the inquiry begins, and eventually they discover that not only is the payment amount short, but it will be like that for the duration while attending a regional site, potentially thousands of dollars lost to the veteran. Out of the veterans contacted from regional sites, 71% stated they would still have chosen Texas Tech due to the location, convenience, and prestige of the university, but feel they were denied information or misled up front. MVP department senior leadership is instantly aware of the problem. Much controversy, opinions, and finger-pointing was observed by the veterans and stakeholders. The veterans pointing at Texas Tech, the VA stating the problem was with the TV's Texas Veterans Commission, or the SAA, the State Approving Authority. The Texas Veterans Commission stated the problem falls on both parties, the VA and Texas Tech for not requesting facility codes for its regional sites, and the VA for not modifying changing policy requirements. The bottom line is a partial loss of entitlement for the veteran that's not been resolved for almost a decade. Texas Tech does not plan on requesting a facility code for its regional campuses, citing the relatively small number of veterans at satellite locations, training required for certifying officials, approval process through the TVC, and other administrative actions tied to the main campus. TVC stated it's a financial issue for Texas Tech, and they probably will not move forward in the approval process because it would not be cost effective for them due to tax breaks, grants, building costs, etc. I could not validate that information as it would require additional research, and TTU MVP was not willing to share for this paper. Additional perspectives from interviews revealed it's the veteran's choice to attend distance training at a regional site, even if there is a monetary loss. The learning and a degree from a reputable college of high standing is worth the temporary loss, possibly to be made up later with a higher paying job. Additional concept and theory conflicts reveal an intermittent academic disadvantage to Chapter 31 vocational rehabilitation and employment veterans or distance learners. Chapter 31 distance learners. It is mandatory for veterans using Chapter 31 to receive or go through the TTU bookstore, Barnes & Noble, for the required textbooks and material for their courses. Research uncovered an extremely high failure rate, over 70% for the TTU bookstore, Barnes & Noble, to successfully deliver the required books to the distance learning veteran Chapter 31 on or before the start date of classes. This puts the veteran at a disadvantage academically, as many courses require readings and assignments within the first week of class. Additionally, the veteran misses out on time to review the material prior to the start of the course or courses. Most professors are lenient with the students at the beginning of the semester. However, some of the Chapter 31 students interviewed received required textbooks as late as 7 weeks into the course. One frustrated distance learner, Chapter 31 student, had not received books on time in 2 years. Additionally, research revealed TTU MVP staff stepping in to support veterans using Chapter 31 by liaison with professors, requesting them not to penalize the veteran for not having required books materials due to Chapter 31 requirements. An integrative approach using an IRP identified conflicts between stakeholders, veterans, and legislation, and used to provide a new understanding or more holistic comprehension of the wicked problem. Concepts, assumptions, and theories were used to arrive and gain additional insights, including the regional differences and a phenomena of independent social reality that is perceived and measured through gathering of data of individual groups, those in government and educational institutional systems. In society, legislation, educational institutions, or as individuals, a common theme that can make one happy or unhappy quite quickly is money, moolah. Using the TTU MVP website numbers, more than 2,000 students, veteran students, attend Texas Tech University or their family members of veterans. And the 2017 tuition fees, excluding room and board, books, supplies, and transportation, is $10,772 per year. Results in a $21.54 million per year infusion into Texas Tech. Those are significant numbers that certainly benefits Texas Tech and the state of Texas. The money lost to the distance learning veteran, while not quite as impressive, is no less important and even more significant to the veteran and their family's perspective. This research and historical data suggest that the TTU MVP will continue to be successful for the university and for the overwhelming majority of its veterans. Systems that involve legislators, federal agencies, state agencies, and educational institutions undeniably will have issues, advances, conflicts, innovations, as we see with the explosion of distance learning and changes in policy. Having a process in place that monitors and adjusts that policy may prove to be beneficial and recommended. Additionally, the following is suggested. To resolve the academic disadvantage, TTU MVP identifies all VA students that are required to go through the TTU bookstore, mainly Chapter 31 veterans, and the courses enrolled. MVP liaisons with bookstore to identify if they have the required books. If there's a deficiency, there must be a timeline that gives the veteran enough time to purchase missing books. A good starting point is 3 weeks. For the monetary loss of the veteran attending a regional campus, TTU MVP submits a request for approval of facility code so the veteran can get paid for that, attending that facility concerning its regional sites. This involves and requires interagency coordination. It is not beyond the reach of the state, federal, and Texas Tech to overcome, as legislative discussion has been initiated this year. Another avenue that is more attractive for the veteran and would have a large impact on the motivation of veterans to attend Texas Tech is for TTU to subsidize the housing allowance loss until the issue is resolved. At first glance, that approach may be balked at or even not viewed seriously. However, the enrollment and choice of veterans to attend TTU would counterbalance that loss. Then in tandem, which is key for Texas Tech, it pursues a resolution through legislation, possibly liaison with TVC, Texas Veterans Commission, and the VA on adopting policy changes that support the intention of the entitlement and the law. This would be a very good motivator for senior leadership at Texas Tech to resolve. If the veteran was receiving hundreds or even thousands of dollars extra per semester due to a flaw in the system, many veterans voiced perhaps a much quicker resolution would be found. Basically, if the shoe was on the other foot, it would be resolved quickly and with haste. The veterans this would affect is less than 0.5% of the total veteran student population at Texas Tech. The cost benefit or investment potentially has significant advantages to Texas Tech in the MVP future. It would demonstrate a veteran-first commitment that's transparent and one of utmost integrity, which would result in a much higher rate of enrollment and choice for many more veterans, as there is a huge market for distance learners that will only continue to grow. My current estimate or the investment involved would be about $30,000 per semester, or less than 0.2% of the $21 million veterans generate annually to Texas Tech University, which is predicted to increase. 0.2% could prove to be a very valuable return on the investment for the MVP program and the university. Additionally, these issues have a negative aspect that has the potential to be exploited for social and political agendas. And it's this paper's hope that it will not morph into that. Instead, these issues used as an opportunity for positive and smart people to find innovative ways to influence the complex and wicked problems facing the distance learning veteran. That concludes my oral presentation. Thank you.